Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Mega Man 7 Special Spooky Halloween Edition because we have to revisit Shademan, but first we have to go to Cloudman because I forgot something. I'm going to tell you later what I forgot, but first we have an opportunity to actually look at our new weapon in a Robot Master level because otherwise we wouldn't have that opportunity. It sends out 2 springs on each side. We can charge it up for more spring action. If we hold up, the charge springs jump higher. If we hold down, they jump lower. Fascinating stuff. This weapon isn't very good, it just doesn't deal enough damage. It is a lot more fun to try and find a use for than Scorchwheel, however, so I'm not going to call it a really bad weapon per se, but you know, it has its limitations. I also wanted to show off this, which I'm probably not going to do too much in the actual recordings. It's Beat. The Beat whistle automatically rescues you when you fall down a pit. You can buy more, but after you rescue Beat in Slashman's level, you automatically get the full 4 charges for it, which maybe lasts you for the rest of the game, depending on how early you get it. I want to show something else here. If you don't trigger this, it still starts to rain. Anyway, that's a little bit annoying, so let's get rid of that effect, and I'm going to show off something later on, which is also another Easter egg I missed. You can actually freeze these. Does it do anything? No. They break, however, and show how the mechanics of a platform work. So why am I going here actually? Well, you're not going to see it because, you know, we have already seen it, but I messed up something with the save states and I didn't actually officially talk to Protoman in this level yet for some reason. That's something that's going to become relevant in a bit, so don't worry about it. Turboman did get saved, I did meet him there, but I apparently never met him in Cloudman on this save. So let's go. Now, with Protoman having been visited both in Cloudman and in Turboman for the record, and hear the normal stage music of Shademan, which is really good. So I'm super happy that we get to hear it for longer, and I'm actually going to show the level again in full. Also, I don't think I ever showed off how the bird taunts you when it hits you, because I tried to not get hit too much, and I'm showing off what you can actually do with Wild Call. It's not that much, but you know, it's fun enough. And also the charged version doesn't actually do more damage, that's a little bit annoying. If it actually dealt more damage, then it would be a much better weapon, but as it is, it just enables you to shoot it higher or lower. That's all it does, it turns on the control. A bit of a missed opportunity. And as it stands, therefore, you only have like 1 damage for most enemies, unless they're weak too, of course. So let's use a better weapon that is much more suited to deal with everything that is walking in front of it, which is my favorite weapon, Slash Claw, of course. But yeah, Wild Call not that great. But it also gave me another opportunity to show off that yes, the helmet dudes have an attack. Usually you just get rid of them so quickly that you don't see it, but it would be a miss of me to not show it off. It's, you know, this game has great sprite work, so why not show off as much as I can, right? Anyway, we can use Wild Call again here, for example. These enemies are weak enough, so you can actually use it to get rid of enemies that are directly behind you. It's a much more effective shield in that way than Scorchwheel is. Now, we want to see Van Pookin again, because it happens to be the season, of course, I didn't plan for that. We can try to hit him with Wild Coil, which is its weakness. It deals 4 damage to him, but it's not very easy to hit him with Wild Coil, so I'm not going to try any further. What I'm going to do now is the intuitive thing, which is something that a lot of people do, and I've seen that in comments, I do read those. People didn't even know that you can shoot the outer shell, which again makes perfect sense to me. Why would you assume that you can hit the outer shell when you can just shoot the core? It flashes and it opens, and then this happens. The pre-cracked floor at the left goes down, and you can go here, being ambushed by a Sniper Joe, who is actually not weak to Wild Call, but it's just, it doesn't have much health, right? Anyway, here is a very obvious secret in my opinion. It is guarded by an enemy, so I'm perfectly fine with the secret being here. One issue we have here is Rush Search's detection, because he's just a little bit too far to the right. This is a very, very non-obvious secret, of course. You can't win them all. It is, however, just for a Mega Bolt. I'm going to spoil that right now, so that's not that big of a deal. But we do appear to have a boss store inside a level. Very interesting. I wonder what could be behind that and why it is specifically a boss store, because we had some extra side areas before, for example meeting Protoman, but what does that do here? Well, let's figure it out. Oh, it might have something to do with Protoman, you know, because I kind of spoiled it already. This event only happens if you saw him before in Cloudman and in Turboman. If you didn't, then nobody's here and you can just turn around and walk away. But as it is now actually a boss fight, a secret hidden boss fight against Protoman, a really interesting duel. After the last time we had this when he was moonlighting as Brakeman, and it was very boring and a bad fight. But this fight is actually pretty good. I would like to compare it to the Zero duels you have in the first few Mega Man X games, where it's not that crazy, like the X games get more and more complex with their patterns, but in the first few, Zero has like 3 to 4 attacks and you can bait him into using one or the other. And here Protoman also has a variety of attacks which are pretty tough to avoid the first time you play against him, because you're like, wow, he blocks stuff with his shield and then he charges up the Buster, and it's quite a huge hitbox. The triple shot is pretty hard to avoid, but I figured out how to do it. Jump over 2 at the same time, then jump the third one. And of course you have to find your punishment opportunities. The jump attack is relatively easily dodged. You just let him jump the first 2 times, don't get itchy with your trigger finger, then slide under. And you've basically seen everything he does. He's surprisingly durable, and of course the shield doesn't help, but you will figure out how to deal with him in due course. It's a really cool fight otherwise. I think it's pretty good, very nice in the context of the game as well. Quite dynamic, still doesn't have a walking animation. But yeah, if you deal enough punishment to him, you don't kill him, of course. He's our brother, and you get a very nice reward for that. I mean, it's a reward. I don't know if I'm going to use this too much, but as usual I'm going to try to find a use for it. It is slightly boring. However, it is, however, quite nice for people who tend to use the Mega Buster all the time, because this is basically just making your Mega Buster better. It's not doing much for the Buster, that is, but it just gives Mega Man a passive ability to, when he's not using the Buster, block shots, as we're going to see in a bit. You just have this goofy shield here. It's on his back when he jumps and when he shoots and when he runs. If you stand still, then shots from enemies get blocked, like so. And that's it. That's what the Proto Shield does. Like, it's fine. Again, if you keep using the Buster, you don't lose anything by not having the Proto Shield out, so you can always just select this at the start of the stage and be protected from random projectiles. You probably won't be standing there and deliberately try and avoid projectiles with it, but it is a nice thing to get, a very interesting reward for sure, offers additional playstyles, and you can beeline for it, of course, and use it in a few stages as well. And now we have a completely different section of Shademan's level, because it actually takes quite a while until the levels converge again. What do we have here? We have a darkness gimmick, but fortunately we can still see stuff. But we did bring Scorch Wheel for its second actual environmental use. I completely forgot about that, and I'm sorry if I gave the impression that there is only one use for it. And you can turn on the lights, so that's actually quite nice. And now I can try to use Scorch Wheel to kill stuff, and guys, it's Scorch Wheel, it's not very good, okay? Gender neutral guys in that case, by the way. But yeah, and the checkpoint, as tends to be the norm in Mega Man 7 levels, I don't like that, is in front of the mini-boss, so you have to do that fight again. So let's see what some of the special weapons can do, huh? We of course have to kill the core again. The best weapon in my opinion to use is Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt only deals 2 or 3 damage when it splits, it's a little bit unclear. But it's very easy to hit the core with it, much easier than it is with some other weapons. As I said, Wild Coil is technically its weakness. It also is weak to Scorch Wheel, also gets 4 damage from Scorch Wheel, but good luck hitting this guy with Scorch Wheel. So yeah, we shortcut the fight a little bit here. If you're good in bustering and just mashing a bunch, then you can also be quite okay with that and taking him out really easily with just a few well-placed buster shots. And Wild Coil kills the knights in one hit, so yeah, that's also nice. It's almost like this is the stage where the boss is weak against the weapon, so they programmed it so that a few of the enemies are actually weak to it. Yeah, crazy how that works. Otherwise, we're going to try and give Scorch a little bit of an extra workout, but it's squash wheel. So yeah, anyway, let's put this behind us and reach another section of the level. As I said, this is a rather long split path. It's very similar to Junkman, making this also one of the most interesting and most complex levels. This part here seems to me like it was almost designed for wild coil usage because there is enemies coming from both sides. The real issue is that these guys are not weak to wild coil and you need 2 shots to kill them, so you kind of just tend to run out of wild coil. At least it's spammable, that's something in its favor, that's really not bad. So now I'm just playing around, I figure out, oh, we're standing on a sprite, so I can't actually lay a landmine for the zombies that are coming in. And, oh, zombie surprise! A Capcom classic Resident Evil style, of course. But yeah, you should rather deal with those zombies with some weapons that are just better, you know, and you can also just stand in the middle, have junk shield up and don't worry about a single thing, except for the one zombie that jumps on you if you stay in the middle. And that's it. That's how where the paths converge. Here is where the base cutscene was. And in due course, we reach the boss shutters. And this is what happens if you already beat the boss. You just vanish out there. No problem. So, that was our Shademan revisit. Very nice. I mean, we got to see a huge extra part of the stage. We got to see what Wild Coil can and can't do. We saw a little bit more Scorch Wheel. And now there is one extra thing, our second and last shop visit, which is kind of the dynamic I would say you should also take when you are in fact actively using the shop. And here at the end you can now splurge a bit, and we see we almost reached 999, so with all the mega bolts we picked up and being frugal. And also of course we can give back the hyper bolt to Otto, unlocking his full inventory, which is semi-useful because we have almost everything that he sells already, but there is at least one thing that we can now buy that is actually quite interesting for us later on, and I am in fact going to buy it. I'm also going to buy a bunch of other stuff from his inventory, but one step at a time. First of all, we get a refund, that's great, and also we get just more items. Now everything that we could find buried in the ground we can now also buy from Otto. We can refill beat whistles here. Now we can actually do that because we rescued beat, just showing that off. And there's a bird dropping from the ceiling. And this is an S-can, it refills everything. It's like an M-tank. I didn't show the text off because it's really slow, but that's what it says. From previous Mega Man games. And here, as you can see, the jet, the surge, the energy balancer, equalizer here, I guess. And of course the super mega adapter, we could afford that. Like if you didn't find that, you can buy that with all the bolts in the game. And otherwise, E-tanks, W-tanks, and I fill up on extra lives as well. Very good idea before the Wily stages. Thank you very much for your attention.